Marissa?
Well, Steve, it's time now for our Monday morning quarterbacks. And this morning we are going to talk about money, from the government's budget to how the Fed's upcoming decision could potentially impact yours. We want to bring in Democratic strategist David Carlucci and Republican strategist Angie Wong. Good morning to you both.
Good morning.
Let's begin with Congress. We know the White House asked Congress Tuesday about kicking the upcoming government shutdown deadline to January 31st. I want to get your thoughts on that, the likelihood of it happening, and then also what you think the White House's wish list would potentially be. And David, I'll start with you.
Yeah, I think it's going to be another nail biter, put everybody on edge. This uncertainty is something that is definitely not good for consumer confidence, not good for the overall economy. And this is just brinkmanship. I mean, if it was about brinkmanship, the far right would have balanced the books a long time ago. But here you see the Trump administration wanting to cherry pick, wanting to pick the things that they want to deal with, and then just kick the can down the road on the difficult tasks. Donald Trump was elected. Members of Congress were elected to roll up their sleeves and to do the hard work. If it was as easy as just picking and choosing the topics you wanted to fund or debate, then anybody could do it. But that's not what these people, Congress and the president, were elected to do.
Angie, I'll get your direct response to David, and then my original question on what you believe will ultimately happen.
Yeah, extending the CR is not the worst thing in the world. In fact, over the weekend, I was hearing congressional members talking about extending it beyond January 31st, but for a full year. Why? Because we don't want to rush into a bad deal. Right now, we're dealing with a $37 trillion debt. And we have to find ways of cutting that. And that's cutting waste, fraud, and pet projects. We can't just, rush a budget together in we have 2 weeks left before the budget deadline. We can't just do that, because what happens is you sneak in all sorts of things. We know those are the Washington, D.C. tricks. We don't want any more of that. So we don't want to rush into a bad deal. I don't think this is a bad thing. Ultimately, President Trump was elected to cut down our debt and to save our children's future so they don't have to keep paying for this stuff. Not a bad thing. Let's extend it at least to January 31st. I'm in support of that.
And we've seen this happen before with it being pushed back, so it certainly wouldn't be out of the ordinary. Angie, I'll stay with you here since we're talking money. We are expecting the Federal Reserve to meet later this week. What are your thoughts on the economy, and if you see any bright spots moving forward, particularly towards the end of this year?
Yeah, lots of bright spots. I don't think it's a secret that the Feds will be cutting something this week when they meet. A lot of Wall Street is expecting at least a quarter point, if not a full half point. I think that is widely celebrated, especially by the Trump administration, who's been pushing for a rate cut. Why? Because this is a pro-growth administration. They want to see a lot more. I think even a quarter of a point is not going to be enough. This is coming on the backs of slower, weakening job market. We saw numbers in August that, bumped us up to 4.3% unemployment rates. I think that is the right move for Powell and the rest of the Federal Reserve to move the economy along. And that's what we want to see. We want to see a whole lot more growth. We are a pro-growth administration. So let's start seeing those rate cuts.
David, how do you see it in less than 45 seconds?
Yeah, look, we're all for pro-growth. We want to grow the economy, but we don't want to kill the goose that laid the golden egg. And that's what's the problem here. Donald Trump has weighed in way too heavily in terms of influencing or trying to influence the Fed. If it was up to him, he would have fired, Powell. We know that. And that is uncertainty that creeps into the market. It's not the number one player for consumer confidence, but all of this uncertainty and these unprecedented moves in terms of just putting pressure on the Fed, this is something that could overheat the economy and might be good for short-term gains, but would lead to long-term pain. So that's why we have to be careful. We got to make sure we're not just doing this for a sugar high, and we've got to do it for long-term growth. We would all like to see the rate be cut, yes, but it's got to be done intelligently with the long game in mind, not just the midterms, but for the next few years and the next decades to come in terms of what this will really lead to job growth and more income in working families' pockets.
Yeah, we're very much still in the wait and see mode, and we'll continue to monitor. David, Angie, thank you so much for your time and your thoughts on those topics. We appreciate it.